Hi, I'm Dina Stewart.
And I'm Stuart Stewart.
And we're syndicatednews.net, alive on South Beach. A show with a little bit of this and a little bit of that.
Sitting next to me, and you may actually recognize his face, is David Lawrence, who's the former publisher of the Miami Herald. But when David retired from the Herald, he didn't retire. He just started another crusade. And he created an organization called the Children of Florida.
No. Okay. I'll back up and I'll give you this. Would that be helpful?
Absolutely, because I always get these things
Okay, in
mixed up.
1996, I'm publisher of the Miami Herald, and Lawton Childs, a man I much admire, was the governor of Florida. He asked me to be on the Governor's Commission on Education. 2-year civic assignment to look at education in the next millennium, the one we're in, and asked me to then chair one of the 6 task forces, the one on school readiness. I'd never even heard of the concept. Now I have 5 children and I have grandchildren, but I had never heard of this concept. And I ended up serving on that. Out of that came some legislation that created the School Readiness Act of 1999. But it so impressed me as something that was necessary for the future of community and country that I decided to retire, spend all my waking hours, or most of them, on the subject of getting children ready for school and for life. And from there we led an effort that ended up with voluntary pre-kindergarten available for all 4-year-olds, and there are now 166,000 4-year-olds in the program. Wow. And from there led to the Children's Trust of Miami-Dade, which is a dedicated funding source, about $100 million a year for early intervention and prevention. And it was all sort of possible because of the very public-spirited couple in Miami-Dade County, Dr. Jane and Gerald Katcher, who said, hey, we want you to stay in town, and if you want to work on children's issues, we'll set up a foundation. That's how the Early Childhood Initiative Foundation came to be. And then in the last couple of years, I'm deeply engaged in something called the Children's Movement of Florida. Yeah. Which is an effort to create an enduring, sustainable movement for all children in this state.
From what I understand from what you're saying is if we don't give these children the tools they need now, they're going to become part of social programs in the future and economic programs, and we're going to be in a bigger mess than we are.
And the fundamental answer is, unless you invest early, wisely, prudently, we're going to end up with some terrible things happening. The most crucial learning years of the life actually are kind of 0 to 5, 0 to 8. 90% of the brain grows by age 5. Get those years right, you're probably going to have momentum all your life. But here's the real world. 30% of children in America and in Miami and in Florida start school way behind. Guess what happens to them? They get, most of them, further behind.
Do you think if we could educate the public about what's going to happen to that 80% that didn't get the education, they're going to go looking for jobs, not be able to get them, they're going to start hanging out on the street, and that sometimes leads to very negative behavior?
Well, absolutely. What do we know about from the research again? If you ever wisely spent $1 up front, you would save at least $7 later on that you don't spend on police, prosecution, and prison. But it's very hard to catch kids up if they miss the fundamentals early. So let me give you an example. So I am almost purposefully nervous when I'm doing this interview. I may not appear so, or when I'm giving a speech. I think it's healthy for people to be a bit uptight. It makes your head run a bit faster and think a bit clearer. So I'm a typical, I think, blend of insecurity and security. Worried about whether I can do something, but having the chutzpah to go ahead and try something. But let's pretend you're 5 or 6 years old and you've already made up your mind you can't do it. That's an American tragedy. There's all kinds of early literacy things that you can do with children if you know what to do. For instance, pretend that I'm an illiterate parent. I hold my child, sit with my child, I talk with my child. I can describe things. I can describe this as, this is a cup, this is a saucer, this is sugar, this is a stir, I can talk about colors. This is purple, this is yellow, this is white, and so forth. You can have a wonderful early literacy experience if you know what to do. So
but don't
parental awareness is really important.
Don't you have to educate the parents that this is what you have to do?
Absolutely.
They don't have a clue that I have this baby, I'm holding it, it's not crying, I guess I'm a good mother. And that's not
well, to talk with me, you must realize that I lead an optimistic life. So I expect good things from people, and most of the time they deliver it. So I think if parents knew what to do, they would do it. I focus on 5 principal issues. One of those 5 is parent skill building.
Great, that's great. Thank you so much for coming.
Well, I was delighted I did. Thank you very much.
You are extremely enlightening, and what I got from this, and I want to look right in the camera and say, it's up to us. We want to change the future. We got to help the kids get a good start from ages 0 to 5. Not just his kids, not just your kids, our kids.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Wait till you see what's coming up next. Dina is going to reveal a piece of gossip about Jacqueline Onassis that was never heard before.
Welcome to Lip Service. True Stories Out Loud. I'm Andrea Askowitz, co-producer of Lip Service, and tonight I'm your host. We're here with another sold-out crowd at the Miracle Theater in Coral Gables. Here's Dina Stewart telling her story, Gossip.
One night, Aristotle and Jacqueline Onassis, along with his daughter Christina and her latest boyfriend, were having dinner in the small back room of Uncle Ty's Hunan Yuan on the Upper East Side. The owner of this trend-setting 5-star rated eatery was Stewart's client. Mr. Onassis had rented the entire restaurant for the evening to guarantee their small party privacy. Predictably, word leaked to the media. Paparazzi and reporters swarmed outside. Stewart was called in to make sure the name of the restaurant was mentioned in the columns. I sat in the large, empty outer room of the restaurant. I periodically looked into the private dining area to see how the most famous, glamorous, elegant woman in the world used her chopsticks. I drank cup after cup of tea and made frequent trips to the small, unpretentious 2-stall ladies' room. During my last trip, just as I finished relieving myself, I heard the outer door open and the door to the other stall close. I flushed, slowly washed and dried my hands, put on more eyeliner, and dawdled at the full-length mirror. I tucked in my blouse and straightened my skirt, all the while listening intently to the melodious sounds of tinkling, crinkling, flushing, and farting. When her call of nature was completed, Jackie O unceremoniously joined me at the mirror. I fussed with my hair, discreetly studying her stylish beige on beige striped silk pants and matching shirt. I noted the way she pursed her lips as she reapplied and gently blotted flattering red lipstick onto an ecru linen handkerchief she kept in a compartment of her chocolate brown Hermes bag. We made eye contact in the mirror. "How did you enjoy your dinner?" I asked. I felt brazen. After all, I had just heard Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis pee and pass gas. The former First Lady turned away from the mirror. She looked directly at me and with a warm, broad smile answered in her soft, breathy voice, "I enjoyed dinner immensely. I look forward to coming back." A few minutes later, the party of 4 gathered their coats and left the restaurant. Mr. Onassis, his daughter Christina, and her boyfriend got into a chauffeur-driven limousine and drove away. Mrs. Onassis got into another waiting limo and took off in a different direction. I thought, perhaps they do have a sex agreement. But I had another piece of gossip. I impulsively called my mother and related every detail of my chance in a lifetime 6 minutes alone in the bathroom with a former First Lady. Will what you just told me appear in the newspapers, my mother asked? No, it's my own exclusive item, shared only with you, I told her. Good. It's not anything anyone needs to know. After all, her husband was killed right in front of her. She's had plenty of tragedy in her life. She doesn't need you to tarnish her reputation. This took place in 1973, long before cell phone cameras, Photoshop, Facebook, and Twitter. A time when boundaries were respected, when what you did in the bedroom and bathroom was kept private. So, for the past almost 40 years, I have protected the reputation. Aside from my mother and Stuart, I have not told a single soul that Jacqueline Lee Bouvier Kennedy Onassis didn't wash her hands.
You know, with the economy being the #1 priority in everybody's mind, we're losing sight of some of the other issues that we have to continue to pay attention to. And one is the environment. And to help us with that, I invited Earthman to come join us today. And this is what he had to say. This, ladies and gentlemen, is Earthman.
Hey everybody, I'm Earthman. I use the power of music and the arts and the web to teach people like myself and others to take care of this incredibly amazing miracle we have called our planet Earth, so that our children and our grandchildren and future generations truly will have a healthy place to live. They deserve it, and that's what I do.
And how do you go about doing this?
I do it. I'm a songwriter, originally a songwriter, and turned my focus towards using those words in the music to tell and say important things.
Well, I'm going to impose on you for just a moment.
Impose?
Because you also are a very good blues singer and have created the Earthman Blues. And can you give us a couple of bars?
Oh yeah, well I can become really the Earthman for you on that one. I am the Earthman Blues Man. And I got the blues living on this planet right now. Too much pollution in the air, too much traffic on the highways. Well, I'm going to tell you about it right now. Bum, 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 bum. I am an Earthman, and I've got the blues. Sing, Earthman's got the blues. You gotta sing that there.
Earthman's got the blues.
Too many people in this ecosystem.
Earthman's got the blues.
Making the nights bad news to your feet.
The blues, do 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 do. Earthman's
So lock all the car doors, pull down the shades. We're gonna have to change our ways. You can check out the Earthman Blues at Earthman's website.
Yeah.
Earthman.tv, the activist place to be.
Well, now that we've got that information, ladies and gentlemen, this is Lanny Smith, a good actor, a great composer,
All right.
and one of the best characters you can have as a friend. So thank you.
All right. Good to see everybody. Keep watching the show. It's cool, man. Very cool.
Well, I guess that brings us to the end of another episode. As I promised, our show had a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And the next episode will have even more of this and that. Or maybe a little less. You just never know. I'm Stuart Stewart.
And I'm Dina Stewart.
And this is syndicatednews.net, live on South Beach.